Hi guys, my name is Mille and welcome to the return of the Fast and Furious series, with this time around a talking car. In today's video I will do a full rundown of the entire event, discussing the required times to beat for each lock-in and give my 2 cents onto what I think of the event overall. And honestly, I'm quite positive about this one. There are only 2 remarks which I have, but other than that, this one is one of the better events we've had so far. The first installment of this series is basically completely surrounding the Race Wars theme from the first movie, where it is Trans S2000 going head to head to Jesse's Volkswagen Jetta in a scene which basically became iconic in the series. Interesting here is the message that says when a new event comes around in the future, this one will return as well to give an opportunity again to win this car. This is interesting to keep in mind, which means that if you buy the car now, but you're not able to finish the event, the car might become useful in the future and crates might come back as well. This is not guaranteed yet, but it's a nice way to look at it. The event itself consists of 70 races with 5 lock-ins, and it has a narrative which I really appreciated, though I did find a mistake in there, later more on that. In total, I'm quite pleased about the rewards as they come down to 3 million cash, 355 gold coins, 10 uncommon, 11 rare and 5 epic fusion parts. These can always be upped, to be fair. Alongside that, to upgrade the cars in slot 3, 4 and 5, there are 4 stage 6 parts to win, with 2 for slot number 4 and 1 for each slot in number 3 and 5. A well spread balance in my opinion, unlike the Best of British finale. Also 1055 bronze keys, which is very nice, 100 silver keys and 15 gold keys. And the final prize, obviously, the Volkswagen Jetta. It can be said that the rewards here are more balanced than previous events, which I really do appreciate. As for the crates, there is a free crate every 24 hours for all the lock-ins over a period of 11 to 12 days, which means that without a doubt you will hit at least one loyalty, which should reward a unique stage 6 part. And with some luck along the way, you might even get a second or third. What I do not understand, however, is the choice to make a paid crate for both the Nissan GTR and the W Motors Lycan. These should be bronze keys as they are freely obtainable cars. I think I'd rather strip a bought GTR rather than spending real money on a crate like this. W Motors is a different story though, as no car is purchasable, but for a 4-star car, 4.5 euros per crate is rather expensive. As for the S2000, there is again a cascade system, like we've seen in the past, which is not mandatory to follow, let it be clear. It's additional and optional. Some small calculation here, if you were to just claim 5 free crates on the left every day, and then you want to buy the other ones, so you can buy one stage 6 crate, that would cost you 70 plus euros, which would be the same or the equivalent to opening 2 loyalties on the left crate on its own, which might even get you a third stage 6 part. So in my opinion, there is something wrong here, it's not really balanced. But again, it's not mandatory, it's optional. Though I would suggest to always stick to the most left crate, in my opinion. If you want to go all out anyways and you want to go for the special stage 6 crate, be aware that this one can only be bought 4 times. Now the event itself and its difficulty, and like usual I like to test out how far a stage 5 setup can go fully fused, and to my surprise, it can go really far and then the difficulty just skyrockets. Before I start, I would like to thank Reddit user WKPQ for setting up an overview on which car is used in which race, and this makes recording for me a lot easier and less time consuming. Thank you so much, and this way I cannot skip any races accidentally. So when the event starts, you are not obliged to lock in a car immediately. There are namely 3 test runs where you can run the Charger Daytona, which will become the finale car in the long future. This is kind of a teaser and a nice way for free-to-play players to see this car in action anyways. Once those 3 races are completed, you get to pick your first lock-in, and you have to choose between the regular GTR R35 or the Liberty Walk version. As both cars are quite common, I assume already made your own choice. In case you have neither, you can buy the regular R35 for cash or the Liberty Walk for gold. Though this option to buy it for gold only seems to appear on one of my 2 accounts. No clue why it's not there on the other one. If it isn't there and you do not have the car yet, contact support using this picture here. So I picked the Liberty Walk version, and the hardest race came quite early, on race number 26, and it was beatable running a simple stage 5 tune. This is the tune that I used, and the hardest race. The second lock-in then is a bit more controversial, the W Motors Lycan, a less common car, and if you didn't have it yesterday, you were basically forced to buy it through bundles which were rather steep. This was flagged to Natural Motion and this has now been fixed to be a car that now can be bought by using gold coins. This is visible for me on both of my accounts, but many users on Reddit seem to not be able to buy it for gold coins yet. If you did buy the car with hard cash yesterday, I'd suggest to reach out to support, as it was unfair asking for money for a 4-star car in the first place and the next day switch it to gold coins. If now you don't even see the gold coins option to buy it and you still miss the car, send this picture again to support. As for difficulty level, this one also was doable on stage 5 as far as the hardest one-on-one race was. But when talking about the most challenging race, that was a speed trap which required one stage 6 part to make a 2 km/h difference to be able to hit it. The required speed was 260 mph or 347 km/h, which is doable, fully fused with one stage 6 part. Tune and pattern intake stage 6 was installed. The third lock-in, the Mitsubishi Eclipse from the first movie where it all started, like the Jetta refers to in the beginning, which is a quite nice point. For this one again, the hardest race was beatable, running stage 5 fully fused. But for newer players, reaching fully fused on Mitsubishi might be rather hard, so I would take this tune with a grain of salt. The hardest one-on-one race came on number 49 and it was rather easy to beat with a 14.4. But then the most challenging race came on number 58 and again it was a speed trap. And this time the reward is a stage 6 part, so you really want it. This can be beaten using a stage 5 tune with the following pattern. The fourth lock-in here is where the narrative goes wrong. The lock-in is the only car out of the 5 you will have to buy full price. Trans S2000, which was Jesse's rival at the Race Wars in the first movie. Fun thing here is that the S2000 is a tier 5 car versus the tier 4 Jetta. Just like in the movie, where this car was the most expensive or the more powerful car, Jesse should have never even gone up against. Also fun fact, Suki's pink S2000 is exactly the same as this car from the first movie, as they repurposed it, but just with a different body kit and paint job, which justifies why this car shares stage 6 parts with the other S2000. The price is a standard tier 5 price, or again you can buy it through bundles. I got plenty of cash and fusion parts already, so again I will stick with the car on its own. If you're curious about the other bundles, when tapping on the yellow cross on the top right, bundles pop up in a new way, potentially showing more variations which might interest your needs. So like mentioned, this is where the story goes wrong, as a talking Jetta returns talking about using Toretto's RX-7 to beat the Eclipse. Well, you haven't even locked in the RX-7 yet, but you just locked in the S2000. So this is where they either swapped around the lock-in order last minute or genuinely made a mistake, as this should pop up when the RX-7 is locked in further down the line, and the one that we will see later should actually pop up now. As for difficulty, I can say I'm glad that it shares stage 6 part with Suki's S2000. The stage 6 parts are easily obtainable on race 21 by being faster than 18 seconds, and then a sprint race on race 47, which again should not be too much of a challenge. And then comes the issue: how far can I get with the stage 5 tune? And the answer is up until race 64 out of 70, where I just got my ass whooped completely. But then on race 67, which is the hardest race on the entire event for this car, the level goes up even more, where I had to use 4 stage 6 parts to beat the final time. I ran the transmission, the turbo that I won from the races, and on top of that the engine and nitro stage 6 parts. This was the tune and the result. The final lock-in then is Dom's Mazda RX-7 with the wheelside body kit, to complete the throwback to the first movie of the franchise. And here you see the message the moment you lock it in about getting into the S2000. It's not a big mistake, but it's something quite funny to point out. First up, the stage 6 race, which again here is easily obtainable using a stock car. And the stage 6 part can then be used to beat the hardest one-on-one time, which comes on race 68, where you have to be faster than a 12.2. Though it might happen that one stage 6 part will not be enough, but no panic, opening your daily free crate will reward you a loyalty stage 6 part, which will push you through that without additional costs. As for the most challenging race, that again comes down to a speed trap on race 69, where you have to go faster than 373 km per hour. Here you will most likely need 3 to 4 stage 6 parts, depending on the combination, my tune, and the final hardest race. So you can get to the final relay race requiring a stage 5 Liberty Walk, a Lycan with 1 stage 6 part, a stage 5 Eclipse, an S2000 with 4 stage 6 parts and an RX-7 with 3? Not so bad, right? Well, the final relay race is quite spicy. For this one I had to basically install 3 to 4 stage 6 parts on all of my cars. But stupid me didn't realize that retuning to the quarter mile could potentially mean that you can do it with 3 in some cases rather than 4. And if you have a certain car maxed out, that could balance out another car on stage 5. So before you go into this final bit, tune to the quarter mile and let the extreme level not scare you away. For relay races it never is really accurate. I will put the full final race at the end of the video, but essentially it comes down to having to run around 35 seconds all summed up. Once you can do that, you get this sweet Jetta delivered to your garage. This Jetta will most likely become of importance down the line, where you will have to use it to get your hands on the Charger Daytona, but most likely with 2 or 3 other cars you can either buy or win in a similar fashion. This will become more clear in the future updates. As for how fast this car is, for now, no clue. I didn't receive it yet on my dummy account, so I didn't get to test it yet, but I expect a low 10.2 to 10.4, or who knows, even maybe the newest sub 10 seconds car. I'm slightly disappointed that once you beat the final race, the event is done, and there is nothing to immediately follow up for the Jetta and there is no crates for it. kind of feeling like an unfinished business. So what are my overall thoughts? Well, this is an example of what an event should be. A combination of freely obtainable cars, with a paid car in there, but also recycling older paid cars, which OGs might already have, but newer players getting a chance to buy it as well. The difficulty is in my opinion acceptable, compared to the Supra Fiasco and the Best of British finale. And a daily crate over 12 days is good for guaranteeing a loyalty stage 6 part, rather than a free crate every 2 days we've seen in the past. The only two issues I have are the ability to buy a Lycan on its own, and the fact that W Motors crates are not purchasable using bronze keys, but only through hard cash. This is definitely one of the better events we've had so far, where as a seasoned player you get some nice extra value for money for a car you paid a while back, rewarding you for buying it when it came out, and also requiring only one additional purchase, which shares stage 6 parts with a car you might already have as well. But despite that, the challenge is still there, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And with that, I will close off. I will let you guys enjoy the final relay race. If you liked the video, do not hesitate to leave a like, subscribe for more content like this. My name is Mille, see you around, and keep racing.